Hello, everybody. We are now live, and just want to take this little minute to thank you everyone for coming and taking their time out of the day, especially this hour of the day, to be here so we can complete this bit of our committee. Does anyone want to do opening karakia? I'm quite happy to do it, but if anybody wants to do it, doesn't have to be in Te Reo Māori. It can be in anything. Come on. Anyone? Come on. How about I'll do karakia first afternoon. Whakataka te hau ki te urika, whakataka te hau ki te tonga. Kia mākina ki te, kia mā taratara ki te, kia hiakane te atākura, kia yuka, te hau, te hei, mai reura. Let's have a fabulous meeting and let's move into the next one, which will be apologies. So we have apologies from Richard Scott and Katrina Christensen. I move that they be accepted. Can I have a seconder, please? Yeah, thank you. We don't have any late items. Oh, declaration of conflict of interest. Do we have any?
For two of them. Tokopiko, I'm the chairman or chairperson of Tokopiko, and Turite, I'm a trustee. So,
do you want to sit in the room or do
kei a koutou?
Agree to tika. Quite happy for you to sit in here. We just, hey, yeah. Cool.
Bye-bye.
And the confirmation of minutes. Oh, no. Creative Communities Scheme Committee receives the declaration of conflict of interest from items. Item 7, and direct the conflict to be recorded and Auckland District Council's conflict of interest for Maxine. Let's see. Can I have a seconder, please? I'll move it. Have a seconder, please. Lovely. Cool. No, there was a discussion I had around public exclusion. I'm quite happy to stay within this forum and not with some of the discussions around our applicants. I'm quite happy to stay in public open rather than experience. What do you fellas think? Stay in open? Yeah. Cool. Cool. Right. I do last minute. Confirm our last lot of minutes. Is there any matters from them? No? So I move that those minutes be accepted. I have a seconder.
Aye.
Can't wait, Max. Right, and let's start. And I will thank you everyone, and I'll hand it over to our lovely Nikki.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for your patience regarding the rescheduling of this meeting. So it's much appreciated and much appreciated by the artists. So thank you for your time. I'll just quickly run through some highlights from my report, and then what we'll do is we'll actually invite one of our speakers, one of our artists who has an application in this round to speak about her project and her work, and then we'll return back to the spreadsheet to work through, if that's all right. Yeah. Okay, so we're here to decide the funding applications for the Otorohanga Creative Community Scheme grants applicants for round 1, which is the first round of 2024-2025. So this is the Creative Community Scheme is a scheme that's run by Creative New Zealand. and it's administered and managed by us here at Council. And it's to support artists and creative things to happen in our communities. The annual funding across both rounds, so rounds 1 and 2 of the CCS grants, is 21,246, and we are encouraged by Creative New Zealand to where it's okay to take marketing funds where we actually, we have advertising and things to come out of that. So after we take out the advertising amounts from that, we are left with $20,986 available for applicants across both of these rounds, so across 1 and 2. For this round, we have $29,313.44 that has been requested across 9 fabulous applications. This is more requested money than is in our available funds for our whole annual amount. As some highlights, just highlights about the process. All of the applications are attached to the report, so I hope you enjoyed reading through the projects and seeing all of the cool things that are happening out there. We have collated the results that we received back. And so we have an averaged amount. We have an averaged amount of funding that's proposed, and we have a score. So there was a criteria that you applied to each project, and we've averaged those out as well. So it acts as a starting point for discussions. So these things are not binding. What you see in front of you on the spreadsheet is current, but it's basically a starting point, so you can start kind of comparing between them. And we'll go through those line by line. What else do we need? It is under the creative communities criteria. It is acceptable for an applicant, a successful applicant, to be still finishing one project whilst applying for a new one. That is okay under this scheme. And it is up to an artist to decide when that project is finished. So yeah, some take longer than others. And it's okay under this criteria. All of these projects have been checked by myself, and also any questions that I had were given to Rebecca Coonan, who is our regional arts advisor, to check. So everything that you see in front of you has been cleared. And this is particularly in regards to things like cost or line items. All of that is all above board. And a note about partial funding. So it is okay, it's up to you how you divide these funds across round 1 and round 2. And it is acceptable to partially fund a project or an application. But it is really, it's good to bear in mind whether that feels appropriate for that project or not. Could they, if you partially fund, could they logically finish and complete that project to the standards that they would desire or like to attain? So sometimes it might be more supportive to not fund an applicant and, ask them to apply again. That is totally up to you how you do that. So unless there's any questions about my report, we can invite Julia to come and speak about her projects and her work and her practice.
Do you have any questions from Nikki? 18. Let's go, Nick.
So welcome to Julia Itzi-Prendergast, who is going to be speaking about her project, her application, and her arts practice. Should I sit? You are welcome to stand or sit with me. It's a bit more relaxed.
Kia ora koutou, ko kakapuku, ko pirongia, ngā maunga, ko waipa, ko puni, ngā awa, ko Pirong, sorry, ko Ngāti Maniapoto, ko Ngāti Hikairo, Ngā Iwi, ko Kawhia Te Moana, ko Tainui Te Waka, ko Julia E.T. Prendergast, toku ingoa. So my name's Julia E.T. Prendergast and I'm a local artist. I primarily work with sculpture and have exhibited in solo and group shows around Aotearoa and Melbourne. So I'm currently completing my honours in visual art at Wintec in Kirikiriroa, Hamilton. So I'm going to try and keep this a little bit brief because I think there might be a few questions at the end. But I've applied for CCS funding for an art exhibition to be held in Kawhia in the final week of November. The main funding I require is for the venue hire, tag and testing equipment, a small marketing budget, and funds to supplement the cost of kaumātua coming to Kawhia from around Aotearoa to view the art. The funds won't be used to cover expenses like the artwork itself. Catering most of the equipment, the entirety of the accommodation, and things like labour, thanks to some like very willing and kind friends offering to help me set up and set the gallery. So I currently have a couple of possible venues in Kawhia lined up. And so if I'm lucky enough to get some funding, I'll be able to lock those in within the next week. So this artwork is a year-long project and I expect about 100 to 200 people to attend the week-long exhibition. The opening's planning on happening on the 23rd of November on a Saturday during the day from 10 till 4. The opening will have a karakia, a mihi, and an artist talk. So the artwork is a site-specific installation using water, onepu, the black sand from Kawhia, field recordings, and pukipoto from Aotea Harbour, as well as a large tāniko drape. So before entering the gallery in Kawhia, a karanga will be playing in the form of recordings from Piwaka Waka from Kawhia. So the karanga will act as a welcoming call to audience, giving thanks to Kawhia and acknowledging the presence of those with us, before us and after us. So entering the room, you'll see a large ipiwai or the water vessel, which will be similar to the stature of a wairua bowl or a tapu bowl. So the ipiwai is made entirely of the onepu from Kawhia and will cradle the moana. And then as audience interact with the water, they'll trigger several different field recordings from Kawhia. And that's audio of the moana and the harbour as it enters. So after the audience interact with the water, they're to dry their hands on the drape of the tāniko, which is dyed in the pukipoto. And that's kind of a durational process where the pukipoto's properties on the tāniko will change. So people are both cleansing themselves with the whenua and gnawing at the whenua's presence. So with exploration of whenua in my art practice, I've come to learn my own whakapapa. So as Māori, playing in your sand and swimming in the ocean is just as involved as kapahaka in your wharenui with your whānau. To be Māori isn't to be fluent in te reo Māori, to wear mokowai or to be raised in kura kaupapa, but much more to whakapapa to papatuanuku, kotahitanga to the kaupapa and answer unanswerable questions with mana. So I can't speak te reo Māori and I've never been taught whakairo. However, with sound equipment and broken shovels and PVA glue and cotton and jerry cans of water, I'm able to have the same interaction with my whenua as anyone else. So this artwork is koha to all the kaiako Kawhia I've met this year. It's not an artwork of an extraction, but returning whenua to whenua and creating another model of language to demystify and de-establish that uncertainty about what you believe your whenua is trying to tell you. So this artwork can't be shown anywhere other than Kawhia. Kawhia Moana and the people who care for Kawhia are just as much the artists as I am. So I have previously received funding through the Hamilton CCS to run and facilitate an artist market held twice a year that supports local and Māori artists to sell their work and promote themselves. I've never applied for CCS funding for my own artwork. That's all just been on behalf of other artists. but I am familiar with budget keeping, record writing, and community engagement. So that's about it. So if you have any questions about the artwork specifically, because I know I'm in the habit of being quite vague and wishy-washy about what the actual artwork looks like. But yeah.
Kia ora, I'm Al. I just wanted to ask you, so when it is exhibited and when your installation is in Kawhia, it's the first time it's being viewed even?
Yeah.
Okay, and is it part of your honours year?
Yes, so the artwork itself will be part of my honours, yep. But yeah, the funding is for the exhibition of it, which isn't part of my honours.
And in the making of the artwork, did you plan a budget for exhibition or no? When you do it as part of your honours year?
No, so we don't have a budget with honours. So if I didn't have this funding, I would be out of pocket or have to exhibit it in kind of the institute that is when we take. Thank you.
Any more questions? I think I just, right, it's not really a question. It's great to hear that, that the incorporation of our taio is going into exhibition, which is, I think, for Kawhia, it's one of the probably strongholds in terms of the taio of what Kawhia brings to our community. So I think it's really nice to hear that, your Or is going to be at the front and centre. Tikanga has been ahead to the involvement of kaumātua. So that's really, for me, that's one of the things I hear that resonate with me, which is really nice. And so if there isn't any more questions, you're happy to stay and listen, or you can leave, and then when the decision is made, the key will make contact with you.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
And so yeah, thank you for listening. And I think you're feeling better. It seems like a rough few weeks, but yeah. Thank you. No worries. No worries. Thank you.
It's the same, so yeah. So when Nikki comes back and should we just go through them, and then when we get to you, we'll discuss and do. Yeah, we still live the whole time. Back to you, Nikki.
Thank you, everybody. I just wanted to make one note that because of the delay to our meeting being pushed out, that in terms of timing, I did check those timings with all the applicants to flag up if there were any worries or concerns about the delay. They all seemed good. But if there are applicants who have tighter timelines for their projects and you do fund them, I will be putting them on the top of the accounting pile to get that funding out to them as soon as possible, just to let you know that will happen. So what we can do now is we could run through line by line, just a quick summary, and then pass it over to you for discussion for each one. Does that sound good? Yep. Okay. So applicant number 1, we have Anita Sherman, who her project is the AOK print workshop, and it's a twice monthly printmaking workshops, which will be held at Opero Hall. So as a note here, on 2 applications, there were some, when we first had those, the projects come in and we sent out all of the information. There were a couple of discrepancies between the hall hireage fees for Opero. So that was flagged up by Katrina, which was awesome. So we were able to then confirm with the hall those hireage rates. They weren't aware, so it was just two different people accidentally giving two different rates. So what they did is they just divided the difference, and they decided that they'll have Opero Hall at $100 a day. So you can disregard all of the information beforehand, and I have adjusted all the totals and their budgets based on that $100. So what you see in front of you is correct. So yeah, back to here, we have Anita Sherman, who'll be having her print workshop twice monthly at Opero Hall, somewhere between February and October next year, to be seen, as a lot of these projects are. They do need to, bookings and things like that. So they have requested $2,420. Your funding average came out at 1,375.
Because we've had more, we've had a change in who's attending and who's not, they've been adjusted.
Thank you. So we'll go off the scores that Nadia has projected, because we've had some apologies. So to tweak those, the actual funding average is $1,725. And the total initial score out of 12, so that was taking into account the assessment criteria and the feedback, which some assessors brought in and some didn't, and we've totaled it just on the amount of people who feedback, is 12 out of 20. So I'll pass that back to you, Madam Chair, and if there's anything you would like to ask a little deeper about this application, by all means.
Open to any discussion.
No, it was only around the hall hire, if they flagged that with, I think.
How are we all sitting with the average? You do them.
But the 1,375,
Sorry, the 1,725, Madam Chair, if we can go off what's up there. Yes, just as, we've got an apology from Chairperson Katrina, who wasn't able to attend last minute. So we've had to adjust based on who's here.
And bearing in mind that we are overprescribed, and I think general consensus that we try and keep it half and half, so you've got another half to give out in the next round, but that's up to us. So do we want to just leave that there and then keep plugging along, and as we move and adjust in kōrero? Cool.
Applicant number 2 is Anna Crichton for a cartoon workshop project, which is a series of workshops for children at 3 rural schools around cartoon making and caricature and illustration. This will be held in Kawhia, Hauturu and Nutunui schools. It will occur around about February and April next year. And she is requesting $2,926.81. Your average came out at, drum roll, oh, $1,700. And the average score out of 20 was 12.75. Back to you, Madam Chair.
No, I don't have anything to add.
yes, nice. I just had a question. When I looked back at the criteria for CCS, it said that you need a letter from the principal when you're delivering specific things inside a school. But I thought that maybe the cartoon workshop sat outside the curriculum, so maybe she didn't need, I wasn't sure, that maybe she didn't need a letter from the principal.
That's a great question.
I don't know the answer.
The cartoon workshop would fall outside of normal curriculum, as she is a guest artist and caricature would not be on, I feel very confident that caricature workshops would not be on primary school curriculum. Yeah. But that is a great thing in the future that I can absolutely follow up for future projects.
Any other kōrero run? I think one for me is it's such a, our average is so far from what they're asking for, whether or not the project could continue. If we did the average, that's the only thing I'm concerned about. And it is a repeat application, so that might be something we keep in mind as we move forward down the.
Application number 3 is Janea Waitere for Kamua Kamuri, Walking Backwards into the Future, which is an exhibition, a group exhibition of the Weaving Collective Te Ao Whātu, with live demonstrations and a 3-day weaving skills expo. This will be held at the Kiwi House, Tuatara Room in Otorohanga, and it will be around June 2025, so next year. She is requesting $5,113.52, and your funding average has come out at $4,250, and her average score is 14.75 out of 20. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Any discussions? Lovely ladies. We're pretty quiet this time around.
It's right.
Can I ask, can this be applied for round 2 or not?
That's for June. So our next funding round for will be February 2025. So that's when the applications are open. They'll close at the end of February, and then the earliest we could conceivably make a decision would be April, mid-April. Yeah, it is quite a tight window. So yes, by the skin of your teeth.
And I think the comment from me is, if that's indicated, well, for me, my priority would go towards getting it done, getting it in, knowing that my window for this is really quick rather than looking around. No, that's cool. I didn't want it. That's something.
Applicant number 4, Julia Itzi Prendergast, who we heard from earlier. Her project is Okiokinga, which is a presentation exhibition inspired by kawhia held in kawhia. She's aiming for late November 2024, and it's an exhibition open for 7 days. She's requesting $2,749.41. Your average has come out at $2,000, and her score is 13.25 out of 20.
Any comments? I actually enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed what I heard. And I think it's quite interesting to hear some of the concepts that she's using in Aotearoa to come forward and put into an exhibition in Kāwhia. So yeah, I did enjoy yourself, and I did enjoy reading some of those slips. But no other comments? No? Right.
Applicant number 5 is Kathleen Siedemann. Her project is a pottery taster workshop, and it's a pottery and clay workshops for beginners, which will be held at the Otorohanga Museum. 3 sessions around about February 2025 TBC. She's requesting $1,744 and her average has come out at $1,425 and her scores come out at 13 out of 20. To you, Madam Chair.
Any questions? Any discussion? What about you, Maxine?
I really liked, I think she had in her application, it was about people working with play outside of working hours and making something available for everyone that was around. Yeah, doing something different rather than watching TV and, yeah.
Applicant number 6 is Otorohanga Museum for the Otorohanga Museum Creative Hub. This is a creation workshop and presentation exhibition, so it has two aspects to it. Aspect 1 is a creative kids club, and aspect number 2 is a photography exhibition and artistic career commemoration. It will be held at the Otorohanga Museum here in town, beginning December 2024 and stretching out to November 2025 TBC. They are requesting $2,644 and they have come out at an average of $1,750 with 12.5 out of 20. Back to you.
Any discussions, team? Not yet. Want to carry on? Okay, fine.
Applicant number 7. Yeah, Ke Tau Awhi Ki Te Kōniahi, which is an Otorohanga History Digital Storytelling Workshop. It's a storytelling workshop inspired by the stories of historical objects, which will be inspired by taonga at the Otorohanga Museum. So it's a film-based and digital-based, April 2025 for 2 days, and they are requesting $4,625. Their average has come out at $2,150 and 12.25 out of 20.
Any comments around?
Applicant number 8, Toi Māori o Tukopiko, which is also named Toi Māori o Tukopiko, which is a workshop wānanga on tukutuku skills, held again at Opero Hall. A reminder that hall hire has been averaged at $100 a day. And that has been taken into account in these figures. And they are requesting $2,090.70. And their average has come out at $1,425, and it's 14.66 out of 20.
Noted that Max has a conflict. Right, well, quite happy to just.
Final applicant, applicant number 9, Turitia Marae for Te Uhu Toi Māori, which is a workshop wānanga and presentation exhibition. So again, a combination, which is artwork creation and a final show, and it will be held at Turitia Marae and at the Kiwi House in Otorohanga from December 2024 to November 2025 TBC. They're requesting $5,000 and your average has come out at $1,500 and their score is 14 out of 20. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Nikki. And that completes our list of applicants. Noting that with the adjustments to the averages, we've fallen $17,925. We've gone up. However, how are we going to do this? Get a directive? Are we going to just kōrero to each one and go down? Or
If I may, Madam Chair, just to help, what may help the committee is there's just a quick formula down the bottom here, and I can make this sheet a little bit larger. So over the entire year, you have 20,986. This is round one of two. Should the committee wish to look at this as 50% spent now and 50% saved for round two, which is entirely up to you, that would leave an amount for round one of just under 10,500. You can see the deficit here at minus 7,500. So if you're wanting to keep to spending half, you're needing to save somewhere in the vicinity of $7,500 from your average amount. So that's this line here, line M.
very doable. We're clever. So let's start at the top. So we've fallen at, our average has fallen at 1,725. They are a first time applicant, which is cool. I don't have many comments around this, probably just the one again. If we only fund at the average, are they going to be able to do anything in terms of planning and sort of stuff? So that's the only comments I have. Really. What do you feel, Ricky?
Wouldn't that be the big question for the majority of?
Pretty sure it will be. You know, sometimes for me, sometimes you have to be a little bit cold to be kind at times. We're not saying don't come back when is the next round opening?
The next round opens February 2025, which is for the whole
Far away.
month. That's the application window. And then it takes us it's sort of like a month and a half minimum to be able to process everything. You need a couple of weeks to read everything. So we're talking sort of end of April by the time we actually have the decision making meeting. Yeah. Another reminder that, you know, artists aren't left alone. So we support them through this process. There's an open door policy in regarding to kind of coaching and mentorship to talk about their practice. And if it means that they might need to work on their application a little bit more or a little bit of timing, you know, we're here for them to do that. It's clear.
I think being from Opara, I really like the idea of the hall being used again, you know, after the flood. How much of the, at $100 per day, how much of this application is wall hire? Sorry, I didn't bring my.
Give me one moment. I'll just jump into the application and pull out that information for you.
Nikki, just while you're looking at that, if I'm reading your spreadsheet correctly through you, Madam Chair, it's running twice a month between February and October. If twice a month means 2 times a day, that's 9 months, 18 days. Okay.
So when we look at our average, it's really just covering the origin of the whole.
I also believe Opara are under renovations at the moment too. Will they be ready by then?
That's a great question. They have been under renovation. I'm not sure of the progress of it. I believe that they have had actually the fire department in to clean the floors and things like that. So inside is clean. But I'm not sure about, I know that they're doing further works for things like water tanks and things like that. And I don't know the progress of that.
So this is just me, because I think we need to make a decision that we need to. I'm quite happy if the hall is up to standard, and this is me just looking at it basically, to offer the 1,400 in terms of the heritage of the hall. Again, on the thing that the hall is actually functional. And that's just my decision. I think we need to make some hard calls, and some of them are going to be yes and no. And so how does that sit with everybody? Like, we are kind of enabling them to be able to run some of these workshops. What do you guys?
I agree with our chair. 1,400. At least that way they can pay for the heritage.
So could I confirm that that would be on the condition that the hall was ready to go and ready to use as an exhibition space? Write that down.
Cartoon workshop. What's everyone's thoughts on cartoon workshop?
I really love that it's for rural schools and it is something that they wouldn't necessarily get. I can see that she's had funding before and she did really, Anna did really well, did she, in Crunching? Yeah, and she's someone that's quite exceptional really. And to have that in a rural space, I think that's something quite special.
Do we know, Nikki, that if she doesn't get the full amount, what can she run?
Just give me one moment to go a little bit deeper. So what we've got, I mean, based on the budget, we have the hire of the whiteboard, and then the materials to actually do the workshop, the artist fee and the travel costs. So I guess it's possible to trim that down to do a more basic workshop, but there's not a huge amount to trim on there. It would be, I think, more of a contribution to costs. And I would imagine she would need to find that shortfall somewhere to be able to make that happen.
What is your own thing? I like that it's different. It's a different type of art.
As a note, we do have printed copies of all of the applications. So if you do want to just have a look at the actual physical budget in front of you rather than just online.
I do like the idea that the rural schools will get this opportunity. I think it'll be great for them.
Are we happy with the average?
Do we know what the artist achieved with the previous funding, like it was 1394 last time?
I can do is I can pull up our master spreadsheet of all years. So I can, no, this is absolutely good. And it's also a fantastic test of my filing abilities.
Lovely.
Good under pressure. If you just give me one moment. So Anna Crichton received funding in round 2 of 2022-23. She completed her project. It was a cartoon and illustration day. She received $1,394 for the project. She's returned her accountability, and by all accounts it went well.
So what are we looking at? Are we happy with the average? I agree with Maxine. I think our rural schools need as much half as they can, and we need to encourage them to participate and punch above their size and their weight. So they draw kids into the schools, draw families into our communities. I'm quite happy with the average for her to run this workshop. Yes, she is a repeat applicant. It's not always a bad thing. I think sometimes it shows that we're actually making a difference, which is awesome. How does everyone feel? The average.
If we're looking at approving the average, which is slightly more than her previous amount, I believe, I think she'd be able to work around it. If the previous one was a success, then I can't see how this one cannot be a success with slightly more funds. So I'm happy with the average.
Thank you. Next one. Janelle Waitiri. What's everybody's thoughts on that one?
This one is a big project. It's huge, looking at the total cost and what she's actually requesting. I guess I'd say that she'd be looking for funding elsewhere as well.
And I think if we look, she's already, had some funding and again, like Max said, looking for other funding and more than happy to support her going on to the next round. What's everyone else think?
Yeah, I agree. There's good lead-in time also. There's really good lead-in time for Janaea to be able to source other funding as well. Yeah.
So we're looking at not funding or funding the average. Wake, not fund this round. Encourage you to come back. Again, just because it's such a big project. And I would hate to think that we're just enabling little bits and then others who could be quite diverse, and when you look down the list of applicants could actually benefit from. You know, I know Janae's probably, this is probably not going to go anywhere, so she's going to be here for a long time. Offering her my tauranga, so that's just me. What's everyone else think?
I think if we hold off on giving her any kind of funds for this round, then it's highly possible that she, with whatever funding she may go for next year, obviously she'll be on the top of the pile. I'm happy with that.
That one, and now down to how lovely. How does everyone feel about it? I enjoyed your kōrero, that's it. How does everyone feel about that? Our average has come out at 2.
I suppose I should have asked while she was here, but I'm assuming she has the support of the local kaumātua out there.
We had no Jasmine. Does the funds cover kaumātua accommodation?
I'll just have a little peek. Bear with me. Yes, it does. So the budget is community hall hire, so cable management, kaumātua accommodation, at which the accommodation comes out at 4 rooms for 1 night, which is $480. And then additional line items are lighting, printing, and artist fee.
Any discussion? I'm not, it's like a just water lord. I think if I'm being puno, we've taken one quite substantial amount out of the mix. And I like to encourage our next generation to build on their skill. I think when we look at kawhia as a whole and the drive we need to put back into our rural ends, we're putting it into our rural schools, putting it into our rural communities, I think that falls quite nicely. I'm quite happy with the average at 2, in terms of supporting you, but it's not only my decision. So, but just bear in mind we've taken quite a big chunk out of that. What would that?
Yeah, if I may, Madam Chair, what I might just do is move the averages into that green line and italic the ones that you've yet to make a decision on, and then we can see where that lands and how much more you need to. Yeah,
Cool. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? You know, what's the kawhia hall? Is there ever any flexibility when we have people wanting to exhibit in kawhia that fee can be waived? The kawhia hall is run by council, so is there an ability? Have I got that right? No. Is there an ability to waive that?
I am not sure about that.
I'm not sure, but if you, as you continue your discussion, I will reach out to some of our customer experience people who will know the answer. Just to help with your discussions, through you, Madam Chair, if we, with the, not funding, Kamua Kamuri and moving the current average totals across, the shortfall is just under 3,000, 2,850.
Clever ladies. So everyone's happy with the average for the. Right, welcome, Kiana. Jump into the discussion. Jump into the discussion when you need to. Okay, we'll move down to pottery taster workshop. So our average has fallen at 14.25. Anyone have any kōrero on? Oh, yes. Falling, especially falling. Thank you, Mary.
Just looking at the dates for these 3 sessions, February 2025. Would it occur throughout that entire month or just those 3 sessions, one after the other?
I'm not entirely sure. Let me jump into your application and see if there's any detail in there. Second. The detail that I can see is it allows 6 people to participate in this pottery workshop for 3 weeks. They'll make 10 items over those weeks. There are 3 weekly sessions of 3 hours per workshop. So 3 3-hour sessions over the month. And I would imagine it's, you know, maybe it's a Sunday afternoon for 3 weekends or a Tuesday evening for 3, in that way, in that manner.
So I heard you correctly for 6 people.
It will allow 6 people to make 10 items. Yeah.
Is there any cost to the attendees or the participants? Free.
There's no cost that I can see for participants. Let me just check the budget. No, there are no costs to participants.
What is everyone thinking? I like that it's a different type of art, however, 6 people is not lots. And we're trying to, for me, engage within our meetings. But that's just me, so.
I love that it's free. I wonder if she rethinks it and does it for a larger group. Or, you know, there's a charge of $10 per person. I really do like that. It's free. And that encourages people to not have to think about cost if they want to try something different.
And if I may, based on conversations with Kathleen, I believe that it might be her first foray into teaching. And so the 6 is when you're starting out as a teacher, you know, it's much more comfortable to begin that journey with a smaller group.
That makes sense because the starting cost when you're starting to teach it, actually establishment fees can cost a lot, especially for materials, and a lot of those items she has is definitely reusable for the next one. So hopefully if she does apply again, that cost should be significantly lower for those reasons.
So ask again, we've got to do this hard line, ladies. So are we happy with the average? Are we, bearing in mind we still have to shave off roundabout? Well, we don't have to, but ideally.
I think it would be good to try and shave just a little bit more down on it and see if she's willing to kind of ask if they're willing to have a small fee. Even $20 would be helpful, just aware of the fact that it's only round 1. And then round 2 is going to be really difficult, and we want to make sure that there's enough there for people to be able to do something the next round.
So when we say shave of idea, are we going to do $1,000? Shave of 25? We're going to do what are we? Be brave ladies.
I think, Kathleen had originally asked for 1,700. And I agree that they could pay $20 per person, and I saw the firing costs were included in there for 60 pieces. So firing's not cheap as a ceramicist. So maybe she could ask for a small contribution towards that. Yeah. Maybe 1,200.
Yep. We're all right with 1,200? Oh, it's 3 months. Not great, ladies. Fantabulous. Down to the next one, which is our Oklahoma Museum Creative Hub. Any running commentary?
I think the photography exhibition is really it's
A Richard and Ruve Wallace retrospective.
and this is going to run, is it over a 12-month period?
The exhibition.
Yeah.
It would be opened over at the Art Beat weekend, and it will run for a number of weeks in Te Whanui Gallery.
What was the actual cost just for the photography exhibition as compared to the?
Let me just have a look. Just going to add up those line items for you. The costs just for the Wallace exhibition come in at 1,554. So that includes the line items. It's a negative scanner tool, because all his work is negative based. So they need to get them off the negatives to be able to get them in the printer to print them off. For the catering for the exhibition, in the artist talk, where they've invited the artist to speak about his work and his career, for a commemorative portrait to be given to the Wallaces, which is artist fee materials for that portrait, and then exhibition materials for the photography exhibition, which is foam boards and labels and signs and things like that. And all of that comes down to, well, comes to 1,554. Which is a little lower than your average of 1,750. As a note, the kids club, so the other part of the project is kids club art materials. And administration costs, so that's tutored sessions, printing, advertising, etc. And that comes to 1,090. So you have one project which is 1,090 and one project which is 1,554. Back to you, Madam Chair.
What are we looking at? I think bearing in mind, straight under the next applicant that's in the same code. And for me, I'm leaning towards funding one and not the other, just because of they fall in the same, probably not the same kaupapa, but in the same vicinity of the museum.
So to clarify, they are two separate applicants, even though they are in the same venue. So we have the Aotearoa Museum, and they would stage those in the museum. But then we also have applicant number 7 is a separate applicant, but would stage it in the museum. So it's not the museum applying for two things.
Both with kind of digital representation, though.
Yes, this applicant number 7 is digital based, yes.
The photography exhibition is key to that's key to the history or what?
So the Richard and Ruve Wallace collection was acquired by the museum a couple of years ago, and it's the Richard's work was photographing Aotearoa in the district for around about since sort of the late 1960s. So it's 1.5 million negatives about our district, which was acquired by the museum as part of their collection. So it's held in trust for the people of the district.
Is Richard still working now, or has he retired?
He has retired, and Richard and Ruve have retired. They've sold their house and they're moving to Australia to be with whānau.
Oh.
So they will be leaving the district, and this is part of celebrating their career within our district.
Go, ladies. What are we doing?
I see value in definitely value in the exhibition. If we take, and leave the kids club to one side.
Take up the kids club portion and
Don't know what everybody's thinking. Just trying to find a solution.
strategy.
here.
Nice.
Yeah,
Like that.
and I just sort of had a question mark around if the collection has been gifted to the museum, then would they cover the cost of the commemorative portrait?
Clarify that, I don't know.
Is $800
Yes.
per year?
Would the museum cover the cost of, I don't believe they have allocated funds for that, no. And that the Wallace collection was actually purchased, so they applied for funding to Trust Waikato. And it's an approved purchase cost, so that's 1.5 million hectares, so it's substantial. So it wasn't actually paid for by student.
I like the our strategy, take up the kids club portion. And because that's $190. $1,090.
So if you take out the kids, if you just focus on the Wallace costs, that comes out at 1,554.
Or but that includes the scanner.
Yes, it does. Or the scanner tool.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm quite happy with that. Well, it's not my decision, I bet that. Yep. Very good. Yeah. So we're looking at, what was it again? 1,500?
It was 1,554 for the Wallace, or the entire Wallace cost.
Good.
1,554.
Now down to the next one, the Otoranga History Digital Storytelling Workshop. Have a discussion. So our averages come out at 2,115. They're needing 4,625. What are we thinking? Do we know if they're applying for other funding?
Are you meaning to other funders for this project? I'm not sure. I don't think so, because the total cost of the project is that, and they are requesting that. So perhaps they are, it's not unusual when you are applying for funding to go for multiple applications to different rounds. That's perfectly normal. But what does tend to happen is if, they get double funded for something, they would notify. So.
I'm quite familiar with this one. I've actually jumped on this one a couple of times before, and they've come up to Waitomo. They have had funding to initially start it, and they had the support of Tom Roth for that one with cultural heritage. But I believe they've run out now, but their workshops were going so well that they're trying to find other ways to continue. I did see, I think my only comment was I noticed that it was a 1 day. It was 2 day thing. Okay, never mind.
Any other comments? Are we happy with the average? Are we happy to give them anything? What's everyone's thoughts? Hard line again, ladies.
I'm happy to support that one, only because I'm aware of the type of work they're doing and why they're doing it. But I do think it's kind of hard to gauge their view. They didn't really outline specifically what they do very well, is what I think, just reading the application. But these stories that they record are usually for to help people learn how to pull information out of people, specifically their kaumātua, and learn how to video and capture them and edit it so that they've got that body of work available for
paper. That's what they're trying to do. But they didn't really to prove that well in the application. But I think that's also a very important workshop that we would really benefit from having within the area. I wonder what the tutor fees are.
The budget that I've got here is facilitator fees come out at 2,675, and that's 2 facilitators for
Double tutors.
2.25 days at $400 per day for 3 people.
Yeah.
You've also got tech support, which comes out at $500, and then equipment and accommodation.
Any complaints? I hear what Kiana's saying, and I totally agree with archiving, that kind of stuff. It's important, otherwise it gets lost in the metropolis of everything else. But we need to make a decision. We need to. We haven't got $1 million. I'd love to have $1 million and give it all to them, but we don't. So I'm gonna ask for directives so we can get out of here before the crows call it. Sorry.
I agree too. It's a really good project. I can see that the timeline is it April next year? So if there was some sort of monies upfront, that would at least get them through until February next year, and not necessarily our funding, but if they know how much they need from us, then that gives them the ability. Because if you take out facilitated fees and tech support fees, it needs about 1,450. It's equipment hire and accommodation, so
I like that. So we do with that to get some of the components in that pricing.
Sorry, can you confirm what would you like to move? Particular line item?
right, it was just an observation.
I see.
Just an observation, that's all, trying to.
I think we need to really start digging that some of the stuff we need to start doing so we can get a decision on how much we're gonna allocate to run our systems. So what did you forward out? What was the number you came out with now? Sorry?
The equipment hire and the accommodation. The tech, and there's the tech support fees as well, and then given that there's still they've still got 6 months lead in time. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that one, remove those lower costs, because 6 months is plenty of time to kind of recalibrate, talk to the people and maybe add a fee for them to attempt to help with that. But yeah, there's other ways they could probably be able to find some funding for that type of activity. The text support one can be removed on this, because that could easily fall under facilitated fees, because the text one is tax.
So if you were removing accommodation, equipment hire, tech support fees, and you're just focusing on facilitated fees, the facilitated fees is listed at $2,675. And your average is 2,150.
I was looking at rounded up, like, okay. Sorry, that adding together the accommodation and the equipment hire and the tech support fees, and that being the number, and then maybe that's enough to get that started. This is very hard.
I know. It is hard.
Okay, that comes out to $1,950 if you take out that first line item of facilitator fees. So you're just keeping in tech support, equipment hire and accommodation. That's $1,950.
How was that with everybody? That gives them some directive to let go.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Can like OCD, Jamie, can we do 1,900 and take away the 50? Because like, just for now, we might be allowed to break. My numbers. Right, let's move on to the next one. Oi Māori, what's our thoughts on this? Our averages come in at 1,425, and noting that Maxine has a conflict, so she's quite happy to sit in the room. And she's gonna sit back, so she's not annoyed. What is our thoughts? For me, tukutuku is a skill we should never ever lose. So it's one of those things like whāriki, like whatu, like all of those stuff around our Pākehī in terms of te ao Māori. And I think again, enabling our rural communities and all parau all, it's inspiring. And I think it's, for me, anything around holding on to heritage, holding on to whakapapa is a win for me. However, it's not only my decision. So what is everybody's thoughts? Kiana? Just throw it over there.
I agree with what Jamie just said, and it's hard to kind of put a value on those kind of things because I've been aware of the fact that most of these materials are free, yes, because it's our harvesting of our bulk and everything, but it's constantly comes to time. And it's not an easy thing to do. I think I'm all for that as well because it isn't something that nearly half of us can do, I would confidently say. And it's an important part of how we express all of who we are as well. And I also, I really support this, I think, because it's not something that our people can afford either to adorn our own whare or whānau and time and hold it close to us. So for this actually, and I'm quite happy with the number that's been put down there. Yeah, so I guess I really like it because the goal is to have it normalised back in our homes and not just in our life where only corporate areas get.
Beautiful. I'm quite happy with the average. It's not my decision. Am I gonna do OCD on my $25? Yes, I am. Sorry. And our last one, again, with mixing have a complex, so Chiviti and Marae. What's everyone's thoughts on Chiviti and Marae and the mahi that I think, staying in this forum, I've seen marae or whānau go from never being spoken of to being at these tables, delivering some really awesome mahi. And Chiritia marae is one of those marae. So I remember kōrero, who's Turi Te Marae? To now, people just saying, oh, Turi Te Marae is doing this, and Turi Te Marae is doing that. And so I think it's a testament to this type of funding that we allow our community to come in and ask for some awhia and that stuff. But again, it's not my decision, and I'm all for, like Kiana was saying, I'm all for supporting those practices to be normalised, those practices to be part of our Otanga community, how we roll. That's the word we use. So what do you ladies reckon? I was doing some lovely.
I think the only thing that pops out to me is the artisan facilitate fees are quite hefty, only because there's quite a large group of them, which is all right. But it's probably the only thing that stands out at that point. Is there stated anywhere, in case I've skipped over it, any fees for attending these wārangas and joining and learning? What's that?
I'll just jump in and have a look check. So under participants, we have people involved in running and attending the workshop will approximately be 7 people, with approximately up to 20 participants that could be accommodated. There there are no costs that I can see to the participants or the audience.
Anything else, ladies? It's our last one. If this helps, so we've set a precedent around funding tech fees, funding some of that other stuff, and when I hear Kiana talk about facilitated people's fees, and we didn't fund one for facilitation, and so maybe that might drive us to make a decision on this one too. Just the precedents that we've kind of come down through that. Again, I know it's hard.
I think that probably it's not a big one, but definitely with the promotion of publicity, I think that could be a lot of other ways to do that. And it's an workshop of painting, so they can paint their own sign to help with that. And maybe like the previous ones, introducing just some PTA here, or at least a quarter, to join these workshops to help cover those certain costs that they might not get from here, but also other areas may be able to fund them, help them to reach their goals as well.
Now, beautiful to over here. What's your thoughts?
I think this is really tough because, when we look at the facilitator fee, that's an artist, that's that's one of the reasons why we look at this is to pay the artists. So, And I can see that they've already added in their fundraising contribution from the marae, which is awesome. So they're, you know, they are looking at ways in which to fund this as well. So that's really cool. Do the workshops run through the year? Because they've got from December till November 2025.
Yeah, bearing in mind that they are asking for 5, but we've fallen at an average of 1,500. And I suppose maybe, I don't know, can they run if we just give them the average, or like what are we? Do you know, Nikki?
Sorry, can you reframe that question? Ken?
So if they're asking for 5 and our average has fallen again at quite significantly below what they're asking, are they, if we noting that if we did the average, could they actually be successful in
Well, they're aiming to start those wānanga, I mean, as soon as possible. So we're talking sort of beginning as soon as funding comes through at the end of the year, running through till June 2025. So I would imagine partially funding would kick it off, perhaps, kick off the project, but then as they start it, they're going to need to be applying for two other funding bodies to be able to complete that project. So that could essentially possibly start the ball rolling, but then have to all hands on deck, gather extra funds to keep it rolling and complete it.
Yep.
Yeah, because the average that's on here at the moment is sitting lower than their facilitators' fees. And I agree that facilitator fees, it is quite a lot. That's just because there's a lot of them. But when that's broken down per wānanga per person, they're actually significantly underpaying themselves in that way as well. But I think it's possibly materials is something that probably could be cut down, and it's a bit hard because there's not exactly any quotes on what they want the materials for.
I sort of look at the 3 wānanga across the original of 6,300, and they've got 1,300. They're saying maybe 300 and 400, and then another 1,000 contributions from the marae. If you add that to the 1,500, that would be a good start for the first workshop. Yeah, so
great. Love it. I'm quite happy with the 1,500 on the basis that, you know, they can actually get something going. And again, you know, encourage them to keep coming back, to keep applying, to keep this scope alive, because I think it's important. So are we happy with the 1,500? Ladies? Yes? Yeah. So
If I may, through you, Madam Chair, just to let you know where that's landed in terms of what that means for this round and for the following round. So I'll just recap too. So we've got 20,986 across the entire year of round 1 and round 2. This is round 1. There is nothing stopping you from spending all of it in round 1. However, previously you have aimed for 50% to be allocated to each round, but that is not set in stone. So half of that would be 10,493. What you've indicated funding for round 1 at this stage is 12,654. So that's that box there. That would leave 8,332 for round 2, which is 2,161 short of half. And I'm quite happy to put that in another way if that was hard to digest, because that was a lot of numbers.
and just probably some clarity on that. We've got some information that we'll ask about.
Yes, so there was questions around Kawhia Hall and whether we waive the fees for that. So I've gone onto our website. We do have I guess a standard hall hire, and then we have a community group hall hire, which is half of the main. So we can work with that artist afterwards to make sure that they're getting the best rate that they can.
Just a question, is it, I know a couple of these have, I noticed on the previous one that we did, and is it appropriate to kind of, to reach out to them when there's other ways to get, especially material stuff? Especially when they're not for-profit organisations, they can usually get really good discounts on materials at places.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the more support and kind of ideas and hints and tips and things like that, that we can give our artists, the better. So by all means, if you have any insights or things like that, then absolutely.
So we're 2,000 shy of a halfway point. Are we happy with where we've fallen, or do you want to have a look at some of the others, or up to you or us? What are we thinking? What are we? Our first one was 1,725. Oh, green light, 1,400. 1,700. We have decided not to fund that one. 2,000. Are we okay with where we've fallen, or do we want to have more discussion around some of them?
I completely miss that first hub. Can we just quickly, for my sake, go over what we cut in those first three?
Yep. Cool. So our first one, it was around allowing them the whole high reach fee, which would be 14 days in the duration of running their project, which was $100 a day. So that's how we fell at 1,400. We gave them the high reach fee. The second one, which was, that's where the average fell. And we were all quite adamant around the enabling our rural schools to participate in this kaupapa. And then the Kamuri one was around such a big project, and she has applied previous and been successful, but it still allows her the opportunity to apply again in terms of her time frame in the next round, be more successful around actual total amount.
So that to confirm, like the second round for this fund will be open across February 2025. And then the earliest the applicants would know and be funded would be the end of April 2025. So there would still be a possibility that she could apply to that round and get funding in time. Okay.
For kaupapa like that, would it be appropriate for someone to approach you and push you towards the Karanga Order Fund?
Possibly, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's more available for that big
Yeah.
body.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was our discussion. So
We have some, I have noted down some of the conditions that you might have said or you've directed the funding towards. So I thought I could quickly run through those to refresh those in your memory. So number one for Anita Sherman, the funding was on the condition that the hall is ready to go because it's going through refurbishments. Some of them don't have any conditions, so I'll just get through them. Number three, which is Gino Waisere, to apply next year and to also support her to look at the Otorohanga Water Fund. Number four, Juliet Prendergast, to make sure that the community discount is taken into account for Hall High Ridge project. Number five, Catherine Cederman, to just make sure that it's free for participants to attend, which I can see that it is, but a double check on that. Number six, the Otorohanga Museum. You've funded partially, but you would like those funds directed towards just the Wallace exhibition. Number seven, the digital storytelling workshop. You would like to take out the first line item, which was the facilitator fees, and direct those funds to everything else. And nothing for 8. And number 9, Turatia Marae, was directing the funds that are partial towards that first wānanga workshop. That sounds correct?
Yeah. Can I just ask, like, the Toi Māori people, would that be also the same as the Anita Sherman application with the part of being ready to go, because it's tagged February as well? Sorry, also. A workshop for Toi Māori people, that's February 2025. It's the same time as the Anita Sherman workshop. So would that be subject to the what is good to go? If you wish.
Yep. I'll note that down.
So are we happy where we've fallen? Again, another hard question. It's make the decision. Hey, it's okay.
I just want to ask one more thing. I'm just putting stuff out there, okay?
Feel free.
The AOK print workshop that's running through to October. And so can we just have that? And then they can go February, March, April, May, and then come back for the other amount. Yeah.
What happened with that?
Is that cool? I don't know. I'm looking at ways that we can reduce that amount but still be okay. You go.
If we cut that in half, it'll probably mean that when they reapply again, there'll be artist fees and admin fees and stuff added all over again as well. To reapply in the next round.
How would it work? The bulk of it was $980 for home.
Take out that.
Okay. That's for the AOK print workshop. Yeah. I think it was in there at $70 a day, 14 days. Now it's $100 a day. 14 days. Maybe we just leave it as it is, because the costs that they've put in there were. Oh yeah, so they've got, I've missed that, they've got koha of $36 a day. So that's $508. And that's over the 14 days through to October.
That's go.
I think their costs, their actual materials cost is sitting at 1,500. Maybe I just take that all back.
No, you're fine. This is what we're here to do, this. Hey. Please. So you leave it at it, take another half.
Any way that we can make more money for the second tranche? I suppose the question is, do we want to cut off any more anywhere?
Well,
And if we don't, then.
So then if we don't, what are we left for the next round?
Thanks.
You're left, Madam Chair, with 8,332.
Bearing in mind if we're asking ones to come back like Janaea. Oh. That whole, but then again, and preparing her to maybe look at, you know, I'm optimistic that we're gonna ask her to go and ask for the time water fund. Won't be such a big. Should it? What do you reckon? What do you reckon, ladies? Hey, I'm gonna put my hand up. I'm okay with that number. I'm okay where we've landed. I think we've done extremely well. When you think we started at 29,000 and we've got down to where we've got down. And at the end of the day, you know, we're here to make, to help. We're not here to save the world. We're here to help. So I'm quite happy where we're falling. And so
I'll just jump in there. So we have 9 applicants in this round, and you've funded in varying degrees 8 of them. 9 applicants in a round is actually quite high. In previous rounds, the previous round we had 5. The round before that, 5 again. So this is actually, I think you've done really well to, it's a highly contested round that you're dealing with.
I'm happy. Who's happy? Yeah. Okay. Right. 1 minute. We're just writing the names, bits in and then I'll read them out. Oh. Sorry. Right, let's read this thing.
The total is 8,332. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, sorry.
Okay, we're good.
Sorry.
Right, let's read this. So on the recommendation of the committee, that the Creative Community Scheme Committee approves the applications listed below from the Otorohanga Creative Community Grant Fund and disperse the funds as listed to successful applicants. And it's, oh, how do you say her name? No, the last, Sherman. Anita Sherman, $1,400. Anne Crichton, $1,700. Janaea Waitere, in terms of her project, not this round, encourage you to come back. Julie Iti, 2,000. Catherine Cederman, 1,200. Otorohanga Museum, $1,544. He Tauahi ki te Konehi, Kuniahi, what's this one, 1900? Tauafi, 1900. Poi Māori o Tukupiko, 1400. Chiritia Marae, 1500, which gives us a total of $12,654 for this round. All in favour? Aye. And would like to move with not having Max because that's a conflict. So I'll move it. Can I have a seconder? Kiana, ngā mihi. So that, over to you.
Okay. Thank you so much. You've just funded some fantastic creative projects to happen in our district and supported artists to make beautiful things happen. Thank you.
And just from me, thank you so much for coming. And again, it's a legacy to leave behind that we are helping. And I think, you know, we can't help everyone and we've got to make some hard decisions. That's why there's lots of ladies in this room, because we make good hard decisions. But I think we've done awesome, and it's a testament to the work that Nikki and her team are doing, and we've got lots of people coming in and lots of diverse groups coming in to offer. So just on that, I'd like to close our meeting with the lovely gentleman in the room, if he would like to. Gentleman. Aroha mai. I thought you were on this committee.
Ka ti tēnā tātou. Kia whakahoki ngā whetai ki tō tātou nei matu i tēnā. Reira ke tātou i te atu kāra mo tēnei koni matu i tai. Ka moi mi tiki ako ki ako tō whai. Noro mo matu ni manaka tāma. Tāma ki rungi matu ni te kā. Haora ko pahure nei. Tatu rā ki tēnei haora. Tēnei tonu matu i tēnei ki ako ki ako whāte. Te mai kui a matu. Ke tuku matu ni matu nei kā. Whāte te mai ngā huarahi parangi ngā huarahi ki mui o matu waka ke taipai e matu. Ki o matu whānei tuku nā nei matu ngeni nui matu ki ngā tā mei kurai tu. Āke, 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 āke.
Ngā mihi. I'm excited. Well,